Justice with Judge Mablean will be life because in everything we do, it involves the law.
Where's your witness?
In the evidence.
That's hearsay.
It's notarized.
I still say it's hearsay.
She's fair.
You gotta help these young men learn how to do this the right way.
Yes, Your Honor.
She's firm.
Can I say something, Your Honor?
No, I don't need to say anything else.
She's honest.
I'm not your child and I'm not your friend. That's the order of the court. Goodbye.
This is Justice with Judge Mablean.
In the matter of Susi Clark versus Mark Golden, Ms. Clark, you're suing him, well, really for not property damage. You're suing him because you bought a new refrigerator, the cost of a new one, right?
Yes. Well, I'm
$750 for a refrigerator. And you, Mr. Golden, say, I did the best I could with that old raggedy refrigerator, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. Let me hear from you, Ms. Clark.
We know we have mutual friends. I met him at a birthday party over 15 years ago. We kept in contact through social media. So I was talking to my friend on the phone one day, our mutual friend, Wendy, and we were just talking about regular stuff. And then I told her about my refrigerator, that I was having problems with it. It wasn't getting as cold as it should. The freezer was still freezing, but it just wasn't cold. And I needed someone to repair it, or I needed to get a new one. So she told me that Mark, that was his expertise, that he knows how to fix refrigerators. He's a repairman, he's a handyman. So she sent me his phone number. So I reached out to him. He called me back. I let him know what was going on with my refrigerator, and he told me he can come by and diagnose it for $200. So eventually he came over. He looked at the refrigerator, and it took him a long time. He was there for a long time. He was just looking at the refrigerator. He even took out his phone and pulled up YouTube videos. So I thought that was weird because I thought he was an expert, and I didn't know why he would be looking at YouTube videos on how to repair or fix a refrigerator. But my grandmother bought me this refrigerator after her house burned down. She had this refrigerator in her home, same model, in her home for over 20 years. It was a top of the line. So when I bought my first duplex, she told me she was gonna get me a refrigerator, and she did that, so it was very sentimental to me. So he came by and he looked it over, and I paid him the $200. I sent it to him. He came by. When he was there, he checked to see what was wrong with it, and he said he had the repairs in his car, and it would be an additional $550.
He said he had the repairs in his car, or he had the equipment?
He had the equipment to repair the parts. Yes, ma'am, to repair it. So he went out to his car. I don't know if these are used parts. He could have got these parts out of his garage. I have no idea where these parts came from. They could have been in there for years. I don't know. I don't know what he did to it. He messed it up.
Do you ever know where parts come from when someone comes to repair something for you?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so what's the difference between not knowing where they came from when he repaired it? What was the point in telling me that?
Because he went to his car and he never showed me a receipt.
The parts were in his car.
They were in his car.
And he charged you $500 for the parts?
$550 additional, yes, parts and labor.
And he didn't give you a receipt for the parts?
I never saw the receipt.
Had you bought those parts for someone else?
Well, no, Your Honor, I worked in the refrigerator business for 10 years before becoming a handyman, and I kept my relation with the store that sells specialty parts for older equipment. And that's exactly what a refrigerator was. It was over 10 years, maybe 15 years old.
A refrigerator 10 years old is called older?
Yes. So I was able to, have that part that she needed. Well, actually, it was 3 different parts plus a refrigerant, which also is called Freon.
Did you know what type of refrigerator she had before you went there?
Yes, I did. She told me over the phone before I got there. So I already knew. In fact, I was able while I was there take a picture of the model to make sure that the parts I had matched. Because like I said, it is an older model made about 15 years ago.
Okay, now if I keep talking, you're gonna say 20 years ago, because when you started, you said 10.
I said 10 to 15.
Now you said 15, and in a minute, if I keep letting you talk, you're gonna say it was 20 years old. Now, which is it, Mr.
Like I said at first, it's between
Golden.
10 and 15 years old.
Okay.
But and that's why it's a little more difficult to get the parts. Fortunately for me, because
but you had them in your car.
I worked in the business for many years. I had those parts, and
what parts were needed?
Well, first she needed a what's called a condenser coil, and that's what actually makes the refrigerator
get cold.
And then to keep it cold, it needs a refrigerant, which also is referred to as Freon. That goes into a condenser, which keeps it cold. And also there are connectors that connect into the actual body of the refrigerator where the electrical circuit comes in. There's connectors. I had to get those too. And when I completed the repair, the refrigerator was working better than it was when I came. When I left, the refrigerator was getting cold. You know, the freezer was already getting cold, so I didn't have to replace it. You know, there's two different systems that generate the freezer from the refrigerator. The refrigerator was the only thing that needed repair. And I could see why she asked me, because it was too warm to keep her food fresh. So I did the best I could with the equipment I had. And when I left, the refrigerator was working properly.
Did you stay around the house while he was repairing it?
I did.
And after he finished and told you the cost, you paid him?
I paid him.
Before he left, was the refrigerator getting cold?
I had to let him out, and I had to run to work because I was almost late for work. So I just let him out and I ran to work. When I got home from work around 9:30 that night, I checked it and it wasn't working.
Coming up on Justice with Judge Mablean.
Everything was working. The refrigerator, once we plugged it back in, it was working fine.
Well, I got
Then she had to rush
She said
off.
it wasn't. You say
That
it was.
is a lie.
If you'll be in the Los Angeles area and want to bring your case to court, call 1-888-552-6878. You're watching Justice with Judge Mablean. We're back with the case of Susi Clark, who is suing Mark Golden for reimbursement of funds.
So you let a refrigerator man repair your refrigerator. You sat there and you were at the house all that time, but you couldn't take 5 more minutes to see if it was cold or working. You had to run out to work.
But I didn't. I ran out because I had to get to work. I didn't. But I checked it as soon as I got home and it wasn't working. It was working.
When did you call him to tell him it wasn't working?
The next day I called him. I left him a message because he didn't answer. I had to keep calling him constantly.
Oh, okay.
And I called him. And
There is a point that people, even though they work and they're friends, they don't have to answer the telephone. Just call after hours.
Yeah, that's true. I know. But I mean, I thought
But
that
you
he
called
would.
him and he didn't respond,
He didn't
and you told him the
respond.
refrigerator wasn't working.
It wasn't working. It
Then
wasn't
what
coming
did you
on.
do?
I just constantly called him and I told him if he don't run me my money, I'm gonna have to sue him.
But you don't know whether it ever was working or not because you didn't check it.
No, I didn't. Not right after he left, but it was working before he got there. It was still keeping my food, you know, a little fresh and cool. The freezer was still working. I had ice. When he left, there was nothing. I didn't even have that. And I had
The freezer part was no longer working when he left.
none of it. The refrigerator or the freezer. I have pictures. I had to take everything out.
Want to submit that?
Had to take everything out, box it up. I took some of the food to my friend.
Did she send you a notice regarding this, Mr. Golden?
No, she did leave a message, and I got the message, and I got back to her. The fact of the matter is, everything she's saying is not accurate.
Okay.
I did spend at least a half an hour, maybe 45 minutes, in her home after the repair was done to see. Of course, I'm going to check my work, and we both saw that the refrigerator was
She said she ran out.
working.
She didn't check it.
She ran out,
That's
but
a
it was
lie.
after we checked it. Everything was working. The refrigerator, once we plugged it back in, it was working fine.
Well, I got
Then
to
she had to rush
She said
off.
it wasn't. You say
That
it
is a
was.
lie.
She
It
said
was
she
not.
didn't check it. You said she did. Did you see him bring parts into the house? Did you see him go to his car and get parts and bring them in?
I saw him, but I don't even know what parts he needed. He said he brought parts.
I heard you. I'm just asking, did you see him go to the car
He went
and
to-
get some parts and bring them into the house?
Yes, he did.
Did you see him take any parts out of the
No,
refrigerator?
I didn't see him take any parts
So
out.
you in another room, you didn't pay
Yes.
any attention to what he was doing after that? Okay. And when he said it's done, you didn't see any old parts on the floor anywhere?
He had a box, but I don't know what was in the box. It could have been his, his stuff he had in the car. I don't know. Your Honor, can I say this? He said that he had already bought these parts and they were already in his car from somebody that he worked with before. How did he even know what was wrong with my refrigerator?
I asked him that, and you didn't hear the answer. He said, you called and said the refrigerator wasn't getting cold, and he had a conversation with you about it. He asked the type of refrigerator, and you told him the type of refrigerator.
Yes.
He happened to have parts around the house, maybe from another person's refrigerator, maybe when they buy too many, whatever, but I don't know, but that's what he said. That's why he had them,
I don't believe him.
because he knew.
I do have
What parts
receipts
you
for the
needed?
parts.
What is that? A receipt for what?
It's a receipt for the actual parts when I purchased them from the actual Pro Building Supplies.
But you didn't purchase those for her.
No, they just purchase in my general purchases when I do. She's not the only person that has a Gen Air refrigerator.
Let me see those parts. I mean,
in that model.
But you charge me
and
for
these are the
them.
ones that go with the part that she.
So
the refrigerator
is
she
your
had.
contention that they may have been used parts or old parts or?
Old and used. He could have got them out of his garage, like I said. I don't know. They could have been sitting in his garage. He said he'd been working for him over 20 years. He could have had those parts over 20 years. They could have been old. I don't know.
He couldn't have had 20 years because the refrigerator was only a 10-year-old refrigerator. So.
One thing I do know, Your Honor, is that she says she wasn't there when I was actually doing the repair, taking parts out and putting new parts
No,
in.
she said she was there, but she wasn't paying attention.
Because the reason why she wasn't paying attention because she was being a little flirtatious,
Are you
as
kidding
she always
me?
has been
Oh,
over the
no,
last
never
15
that.
years.
Not at
asking
all.
me was I still single.
You have to be kidding me.
Which is
Your
was
Honor,
constant.
this man lives with
You know,
his parents. I am not getting ready to be flirtatious with him.
I had to come out of the
Trust me.
Why
refrigerator
you
just
not
to
gonna be
tell her.
flirtatious with a man that lives with his parents?
Because I'm not.
Why not?
Oh, no, I need more than that.
Oh, you think he can't pay his own bills?
Well, he has his own business, so I know he can pay his own bills, but...
And you think he doesn't have any money because he lived with his parents?
Well, he said he was there taking care of her, and he could be taking care of his parents. That
I
happens.
Your Honor, I live with my mother, my aging mother, and she's ailing, and
She could have been living with him. Whose house was it?
Hers.
Oh.
Well, it's been our family.
It's a family
for a while.
home.
But I'm the
And
one
you
who
went
pays
back
the
there
bills
to
there.
help take care of your mother. You can't begrudge the man that. I commend him for that, for going to help to take care of his mom.
Yeah, that's a beautiful
And to
thing,
live with
but-
his mother.
Yeah.
I know you don't begrudge that. This is a difficult one because neither one of you have any proof of anything, really. You bought these parts so long ago, I don't know if they were used or old or fresh. And I don't know, there's no date on this document. You have an invoice for the parts?
No,
She
he didn't
said she
send me
never
the
got an invoice for the
Never
parts.
got it.
You just told her that she owed you $550.
And here's the proof that I sent him the money as well.
She gave you the $200 deposit, and when you finished, you told her you owe her $550, but you never gave her an invoice for the parts. And you said it was $550 for parts and labor. And that's interesting because this entire invoice you just gave me is $550 for parts.
Coming up,
Seems to me with that testimony that there is some question about whether you were really able to repair the refrigerator, that you put the parts in, but they didn't work.
you're watching Justice with Judge Mablean. We're back with the case of Susi Clark, who is suing Mark Golden for reimbursement of funds.
So where's your labor?
Well, the labor was
lies.
included in the $200.
Oh, so you didn't charge her very much for labor.
Like I said, to her, because Wendy, our mutual friend, is very close to me, I said I'm not going to overcharge the rate that I normally charge people. And that's exactly what I told her going in.
I have to tell you, this one is difficult for me because his contention is that it was working when he finished. Your contention is, I don't know, because I didn't take the time to see one way or the other. But even if it was working when he finished, you left and came back home within a few hours and it was no longer working. It seems to me with that testimony that there is some question about whether you were really able to repair the refrigerator, that you put the parts in, but they didn't work. So you weren't able to repair it. Because if you repaired it and put in these new parts and it was working when you finished, can you explain why it was not working when she got home several hours later?
I can't explain why it wasn't working because we really don't know whether it was or wasn't, because she took the liberty to buy a new one, which replaced the refrigerator. I haven't seen the refrigerator since I
so
worked
she
on it.
bought a new one like the next day?
No. I had to wait like 5 days before I even got it.
But you called him and told him it wasn't working.
Yeah, and
you
I
never
told
let him
to
come back to see.
I told him to come by and he can see it. He didn't want to. He was
that
dodging
true?
me.
She called and left a message saying that the refrigerator wasn't working any better than it was before.
Coming up,
She already had a new one, and
Hold on a second. When did you purchase the new one?
Like 4 or 5 days later.
So you didn't give him time to come back?
Well, he said he was going to come, but he never did.
you're watching Justice with Judge Mablean. We're back with the case of Susi Clark, who is suing Mark Golden for reimbursement of funds.
How many days went by before you got back?
I would say it was probably 4 or 5 days, maybe a week.
But you don't deny that she called you
Well,
that night.
I got messages, like I
Okay.
say, 3.
So you
5
don't deny
days
that she
later.
called you. You already said she
Yes.
called.
She called and left a message.
Okay.
And
But you didn't get back over there. By the time you got back, she already had a new one.
Yeah, she already had a new one. And
Hold on a second. When did you purchase the new one?
Like 4 or 5 days later.
So you didn't give him time to come back.
Well, he said he was gonna come, but he never did.
Did you call him back and say, I'm going to purchase a new one?
No, because I had food. I had to get out
What'd
my
you do
food
with the
out
old
the
one?
refrigerator. I had to have them remove it. My food was at my neighbor's house. I had to get my food out of
Okay,
there.
so it sounds like to me that the refrigerator was just worn and out on its last leg. I don't know where these parts came from. And these parts were bought long before she called you. And I don't know if they were used or old, because if they were new parts, it would seem that the refrigerator would have been working, because these are three parts, the main parts to cause the refrigerator to work. And it would seem that it should have been working at least 8 or 9 hours later. And according to her testimony, it was cool. It was less cooler than when she called you. But since these parts had been running around in your car for a while, I don't know, it may have been something wrong with them. They may have, you know, if you had bought new parts and given her a receipt from the store saying, I bought the parts, and the parts would have the model number, and it would be related to her refrigerator, then that's a different story.
Judge Mablean's verdict when Justice with Judge Mablean returns. You're watching Justice with Judge Mablean.
I'm not going to give you back the $750. The order of the court will be to refund the $550. And the reason is because I don't know where these parts came from. No model number, just says it just says one refrigerant. That refrigerant could have been for any model refrigerator. One condenser connector could have been for any model refrigerator. So because of that, I am going to grant her request that you refund her the $550. So be it. Judgment for the plaintiff. What you?
Yeah, one more thing. You even said yourself that the refrigerator could be on its last leg, and I put to you, Your Honor, that the refrigerator was on its last leg.
Obviously was on its last leg, maybe, but you claimed that you put in $550 of new parts, and you want her to pay you for new parts. You can't prove that you bought new parts for her refrigerator, that model specifically. There's nothing here to prove that you bought new parts. I'm paying you for your diagnosis, but not for the parts. Judgment for the plaintiff.
Judge Mablean has ruled in favor of the plaintiff. The defendant has been ordered to pay $550.
You know you owe me that money. I don't mind paying you for the diagnosis. That's okay.
You go get it, but the one thing you're not going to get that you really want is that date.
Not you!
This has been a production of Allen Media Group.